Since the announcement of the so-called partial mobilization in Russia, 700,000 people have left the country. Forbes magazine cites such data with reference to sources in the Kremlin, and this is several times more men than it was drafted. And basically, these are young qualified specialists. They live on business jets, helicopters, bicycles, electric scooters, and even cover hundreds of kilometers on yachts or rowing boats.
At least 21 Russians have arrived on yachts in South Korean ports, but only 2 of them were given a permission to enter the country. The rest were refused because the authorities considered the purpose of their visit unclear. From the message of the agency news with reference to South Korean media on Telegram.
Mostly Russians who flee from the mobilization buy a one-way ticket to Turkey, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Armenia and Israel. More than 70,000 of them has settled in Georgia. One of them is Alexei. He had left his native Taganrog on September the 25th and has been staying at the Russian-Georgian border for 2 days. While Alexei was waiting for his turn at the checkpoint, a summons was brought to his home.
I am 31 years old. I have a military specialty. I am an armored personnel carrier driver, despite the fact that I still do not have a driver's license, and I have never driven an APC. That is, it says a lot about our army, and I cannot be an exception. Everyone there is like that.
In an attempt to avoid the conscription, Yekaterina has also come to Georgia. She'd taken a minimum of things with her. The girl has stood in a queue at the border for about a day and a half. Yekaterina was a surgical nurse in one of the hospitals in Krasnodar, and that is why, according to her, she falls under the mobilization. I had the idea that it was necessary to leave Russia way too long before the mobilization and even before the events of February the 24th. But the mobilization has probably become a point of no return. Everything was happening very quickly. I was on duty, I worked around the clock. Then I returned home in the morning, phoned my mother and said for sure that I had made such a decision. Despite the fact that Yekaterina has her mother and sister stayed in Russia, she is not going to come back to her homeland. And her relatives supported such a decision. She says that after Russia unleashed a full-scale war against Ukraine, she sees no future for her in the country. The events on February the 24th are rather a point of no return. Maybe before that, there still was a hope that something would change. Our government would reconsider its management methods. But I think that Russia will definitely not have a future after February the 24th. Many who fled from mobilization to Georgia, Armenia and Kazakhstan do not plan to stay there. Those for whom these countries are only a transit point intend to go to Germany, France, Italy and other states of the European Union in the future. Despite that the EU has suspended the visa facilitation agreement with Russia, the process of obtaining visas to the EU countries for Russians has become not only more expensive but also longer. Following a number of European countries, the Czech Republic decided to ban the entry for Russians on tourist and student visas.
While Russian rockets fall on children's playgrounds and on people in Ukraine, up to 200 citizens of the Russian Federation travel to the Czech Republic via international airports every day. That is why we agreed that entry will be denied to those Russian citizens who come to the Czech territory via external Schengen borders, that is, via our international airport, for the purpose of tourism, sports or culture. Jan Lipavsky, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Czech Republic.
The measure will come into force on October the 25th. Thus, the Czech Republic joins the Baltic countries, Poland and Finland, which had previously closed their borders for Russian tourists. Reported by Dana Kolesnik, Valeria Nekapalova, UATV News.